Hi, I'm Stephen Greenhut, Director of the Pacific Research Institute's Free Cities Center. The Free Cities Center, we write about housing issues all the time and talk about Senate Bill 9 and a variety of other bills that the state lawmakers have passed that make it easier to build accessory dwelling units, ADUs, little houses, granny flats, whatever you want to call them, to help address the housing shortage. So we thought we'd take you on a tour of one and see what it's like. So here we are at the home of Suzanne and Eric Bleehoofdy here in Sacramento, and they built an ADU at the back of a 1960s era house where their family, their kids and their mom lives up front, and they've built a house in the back of a large yard. And we're going to take a tour and see why this is such a good idea. And they'll talk about their experiences, everything ranging from permitting to dealing with contractors to getting insurance, make their suggestions on how the state could even improve some of these laws. So let's get started. Here we are in the Little Pocket neighborhood of Sacramento with Suzanne Bleehoofdy, and she and her husband Eric just built this fabulous little ADU in the back of a property from what, the 50s or 60s?
1960.
1960, and they have this huge lot, and they've taken advantage of some of the new laws. In California has passed a number of laws over the years that encourage the production of small backyard properties and other types of ADUs, accessory dwelling units, to promote housing construction. So we're going to first do a tour of the new house. It's still a little bit of a work in progress.
Yep.
But you'll see what's going on here. Well, when I walked in here, I was surprised. This is a real kitchen of the sort you'd have in any sort of full-size house. So,
That's right.
Suzanne, tell us the thinking about the kitchen and how you got here.
Well, originally, when we were planning this, we didn't have an island planned. It was a last-minute kind of change. But the thought of needing more storage, every decision we made in the ADU was, how do we get more storage in the house? So we went with cabinets all the way up to the top. One, because I don't like to dust the top of cabinets, but two, we could put things up there that we don't use that frequently. And then this has power to it, so we can plug in your phones. You can have your crock pot here. This can be a perfect surface for meal prep, and then lots of storage underneath, including hiding our garbage.
Right. Well, the square footage of this house here is
748 square feet.
Okay, and tell us how you came up with the plan. Was it a stock plan, or did you come up with your own design?
I found an ADU company that had some designs online that I really liked, based in San Francisco, when you could sort through by size. I'd been already told that $750 is a cap that costs about $20,000 more in city fees.
Right.
So we wanted to keep it under, and I could sort by number of bedrooms and bathrooms. And
Over here, Tim, behind you is the living area. It's a small area,
but perfect for just me and my husband hanging out.
So the reason you did this was for family reasons,
For family
right?
reasons,
so
yeah.
Can you explain what was the propelling this?
My husband and I moved back in with my mom about 2 years ago because she has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And, we had made a commitment to her that we would keep her in her house for as long as possible. And so in moving in, we bought the house from her because we wanted to build the ADU so we could have a refuge space, because it's very taxing. Caregiving and what the government gets for free out of caregivers that are family members is a whole nother story that you could investigate. But so we just wanted to keep her safe and happy for as long as possible as her disease progressed. So that's why we moved in. Fortunate that my son and his family also wanted to be part of the caregiving. So they live up front with my mom now, and we all take care of her. So.
Okay, let's continue the tour here. And all the finishes are of the sort you would have in any luxury house anywhere?
Yeah, no, I'm quite pleased with the finishes that we got from the company.
Yeah, I like that light.
From Poland.
Oh, okay.
So I loved it. My signature piece.
Well, let's go down the hall.
Let's go down the hall. This is our laundry area. So we have a stackable washer and dryer, perfect for my husband and I, and then we've got storage up above for laundry stuff. The plans came with the skylight, so this is the one dark corridor that would have been, but the skylight just brings in all this wonderful light.
And then you use splits, which are They don't, instead of having a central heat and air
Right.
conditioning, they're individual units
Right.
that provide heat and air.
Right, and that's been working out great. And the house, because of the more modern construction, it's very energy efficient, and we hardly have to use all of them at once.
Even
Of course.
when-
And then because we have 2 bathrooms, we opted for one of the bathrooms to have a bathtub, which has been great when we're watching my 3-year-old granddaughter and get the tubby time going.
Kids need tubs.
Kids need tubs.
Well, the last room is the master here.
Master.
Well, yeah, it doesn't look any different than a small house
Right,
in the neighborhood,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so we love it.
Yeah.
And again, storage considerations. We got a new bed. It's a little high. I'm going to need a step stool eventually to get up on it as I age, but it's got storage underneath it. So
Great.
we were always thinking of how can we store stuff, and still downsizing, but still needing storage.
Sam, this has been, what, a 2-year process?
Yes.
So explain to us, this was a big idea, and how it went. What were some of the steps? I mean, everything, it looks great, but a lot of these projects, it's like watching the sausage making process in the
Yeah,
Capitol. They're
yeah.
a little uglier than
Yeah.
than it first seems.
Well, I do want to say, just from my own point of view, it started like 10 years ago when I was working for another state agency helping with the construction of new buildings, and talking to the project managers and architects on adding to the house. And this was long before my mom's diagnosis or anything like that. I just love this house and thought, hey, this would be a great way for a family compound. And was told by one of the architects, you need to wait. There's legislation in process that'll make it cheaper. Because and it has. Just by waiting those few years, the cost went down considerably to building in your own property. So being on Instagram at the time, I was constantly getting things in my feed about building ADUs in Sacramento. And primarily there were 2 companies coming in, advertising. And so we were able to go and see things that they'd built, walk through the models. That got my husband saying, okay, this is a quality home that we could be living in. And so we signed with one of the companies and gave a $1,000 deposit, only for 2 weeks later for them to close their business completely.
Now, were you discouraged at that point? Did you think about giving up on that idea?
Yeah, very discouraged, because then it's like, who do you trust? Right?
But you found a good contractor, and how did that work? How'd you do that?
That was word of mouth. My husband met someone that he's become friends with, and they have used the contractor for numerous projects. And so we had him come out and give us an estimate. So,
Okay.
and we liked him, and yeah.
And how did you check them out? This is, for advice for people who are thinking of the
Same thing, going back to Better Business Bureau, looking at Yelp reviews, and then going to the contractor's licensing board to make sure that his license was in good standing and that everyone working for him was licensed appropriately. So, yeah.
And walk us through the process. So you find the contractor, you check them out. Seems like a good company.
Yeah, yeah.
And then how'd you pick the design, and how'd you get rolling?
Looking online at ADU companies and the models that they had available, keeping in mind, again, keeping it under 750, the 2 bathrooms, or at least 1.5 baths. And we found a couple different designs we really liked. And ultimately, this is the one we went with, and we just thought it had the most potential. So, and then showed it to the architect working with our contractor, and he came up with a similar design.
Oh, okay.
So-
And he tweaked things.
And he tweaked things, yeah.
How much customizing did you get to do?
Well, this is one of the things, what I would do differently next time. Because being new to the whole building, using a contractor, I wasn't as nitpicky on the architectural designs as I should have been.
Now,
Yeah.
did the contractor mostly deal with the city, and I don't know if the county was involved or?
City. This was all city.
All city.
All city. The contractor did the dealing with them.
Right. Now we're back inside, and you see what a comfortable living area was. So we were talking about the permitting. So it took you said about 10 months?
About 10 months.
Well, with these laws that the states passed, and the goal was to incentivize this sort of thing,
Right.
so that we have less of a housing shortage.
Right.
And they've eliminated parking requirements. The
Yep.
city of Sacramento has done that for most new building
Yeah.
projects. And they reduced the fees, as you pointed out.
Yep.
If you went a little higher, you'd have to pay a much larger fee.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they created a by right process, which means you can produce it by right without a discretionary approval through the planning commission and city council. So those laws, if you can address those obviously were the enabling factor here, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. The whole being able to not have to pay it was supposed to be around $100,000 for hookup costs before the laws got changed, just to hook up to the utilities with the city.
Wow.
Those got amazingly reduced to make it. I forget, it's like in the 20 to 30,000 range, if I'm remembering correctly. It might not be, but yeah. So, and I didn't realize there were it would have been parking issues, but
And you didn't have to go to a planning
no,
commission
nothing like that.
or the city council
No,
or
nothing like that.
talk to your council members
Yep.
and beg for the right to use your own property.
Yeah. Didn't have to do any of that.
But you still have to follow setbacks.
Yes.
So there's
still have to
several
follow
feet.
setbacks.
I think it's a 4-foot setback.
I think it's 5 foot.
5 foot. Okay, and a 16-foot height.
Yeah.
So you just have to conform with those, and then.
And it went through reviews with the fire department as far as access to hose lines reaching back here. Then, like I said, the water table issues for flood control type of things. All of that was part of the city's process. That check. And I could see as the permit worked its way through the city where it was in each stage of approval. So the city has a website that I could load in the permit process and just follow where it was and see what comments, not all the comments, not all the documents, but at least I could check on the process.
Oh yeah. And then when critics of some of these new laws say that these units are being built without any regulation, well, that's not true.
It's not true.
Ton of regulation.
Regulations.
It's just that it makes it easier to build it without having discretionary approvals.
Right. Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned to me that you had some insurance issues. Can you describe that?
Yeah, after the home was built and it was fully permitted and we moved in, then getting insurance on the house. Because, of course, California, getting any sort of insurance in California.
Right, it's a problem in general.
So, I could get homeowner's insurance on the main house, but most of the companies I contacted, as soon as they heard ADU, they said, we don't do that. Not in California. We don't insure ADUs.
Wow. Yeah. So what were you able to do in terms of insurance?
The company that insures our cars was able to insure our home with a policy. They did have one requirement, and if you want to take a picture of that later, and that is because of the age of the existing home, we had to get a leak protection system installed on the water source because that's the higher risk because of the age of the house.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, it just gave them a opportunity to revisit the whole policy. I guess.
Right. So.
And then, not to get into numbers at all, but was it what you would consider reasonable, or was it?
Honestly, at that point, it was like I just want to be insured.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just get ourselves insured. That was really it.
What would you recommend to other homeowners who are considering a similar thing?
Things I would have done differently. The company that had the design, I think they offered services where you could buy the plans from them. It would have sped up the process because they had plans that had already been pre-approved by some counties in California, and they know how to grease the wheels better, I think. So I would have just bought it directly from them.
Yeah, because after the wildfires, like in LA County, Altadena, and the city of LA, they have pre-approved plans. You pick one of them, and you don't have to go through that process.
And the city of Sacramento does have pre-approved plans. I just didn't care for any of them. Oh. There is a Tom Hanks movie where they're doing a remodel with Shelley Long, and the contractor, he keeps going, when's it going to be finished? And the contractor keeps going, 2 weeks, right? Yeah. The last 6 weeks of this build was 2 weeks. It was just like, when are we going to be done? We're ready to move in. And
anything you would recommend overall to the city on how they can make the process better?
Yeah. I think I don't know whether it's standard practice. They were communicating with the project manager on record. It would have been nice for me to have access to that information as well, just to follow along. And I don't know what the city's practices are for that. When I requested it, I got it right away, right? And the city did go to bat for us because we had a delay. We got assigned an employee from SMUD who just wasn't up to the task and told us we had to connect power one way and then said, no, you have to do it another way, only for it to go back to the first way. So there was some extra costs in construction for being told one way to the other. And our contractor ended up having to raise it above that person's supervisor, and the city jumped in so that we could get the house completed because we didn't have power to this house.
Okay, so the city
intervened
to
yes,
help you
to help us get SMUD
streamline with the utility company.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, the city of Sacramento, I mean, they've made a big deal out of the fact that they want more of this happening, right?
And they did let us know when something reached a certain point that they were green lighting it to go through the expedited service, so that it really was going to be, a 5-day turnaround from the documents to when they'd looked at everything. And they kept to it. So yeah, they were very communicative in that respect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at what I was able to find by researching online. The city did a good job of presenting, go here, go here, go here, go here, right? And they had plans. And I would hope that maybe they would, I know plans become property rights as far as like copyright, whatnot. But to be able to say, we have some more plans that have been approved,
well,
right?
Some are open source.
Open source kind of thing, because that would be, I did a lot of research and looking and whatnot. And, actually my daughter was the one that found the company that I really liked.
But in your mind, all these new laws really helped your family situation, right?
They did. Yeah.
Because it maybe wouldn't have happened if not for them, right?
Yes, yeah. The dream of owning this house and having enough room for a family compound without those laws would not have been able to build. And I think something people should think about when building an ADU is I think people think it's a cheaper way to go than buying a new house. It is not. It's still, I think we figured out $400 per square foot for this house.
Right, and the smaller the property, the higher the per square
feet, right? But do I feel like we got a quality build? Yes, we do. We got a quality build. We're pleased with everything, the way it's designed and whatnot. And
on your childhood home property.
Home property. So very pleased with it. But it's not a cheaper alternative necessarily.
Right. So Suzanne, did you consider building an addition on the existing house rather than the separate property? What convinced you to go this way?
I did look into it, maybe not in actually talking to an architect on what it would take to do to add to our house, existing house. I think I discounted that as an option just because I think my husband wanted more space.
And the privacy, right?
And the privacy
your own
individual house, yeah. So that was it. And then, that was primarily needing the privacy and the distance.
Yeah, and what would your final takeaway be to other people considering a similar thing?
For our case, it's been worth it. It's met every one of our goals, providing us with a place of refuge to get away from the caregiving responsibilities I have, but it's close enough. My gas bill has gone down so huge from not having to drive over to my son's house to babysit my granddaughter, right? So it's just a quick hop across the patio and I'm there. And when they need help, if my mother is having some of her syndromes, I can be there to help. It's increased our family time and our family meals. So for us, family-wise, it's just been a plus all the way across.
We want to thank Suzanne for showing us her new ADU and dispel some myths here. If you look at the original home behind us, you can't see the ADU, the new construction. It's not a problem for a neighborhood. It doesn't change the character of the neighborhood. And that's one of the things we like to emphasize. We've written a lot at the Free Cities Center about the public policy behind these projects, behind these laws. But here is the real world experience. This should dispel some of the myths and the concerns of opponents of some of the state's new laws that encourage the construction of ADUs. They don't change the character of the neighborhood. They provide new housing opportunities. It's a boon for people and their families. So we'd like to encourage the state to do more of these types of deregulation laws that make it easier to build housing. So thank you for watching, and learn more about housing and other issues at the Pacific Research Institute's Free Cities Center, pacificresearch.org.